Good evening. This is the News Tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and tonight the focus is on the aftermath of US President Barack Obama's India visit. The reactions from the neighboring countries seem to suggest a change in perception about India in the region. We'll be talking about that and more over the next half hour, but first the headlines. Union Cabinet decides not to contest Bombay High Court ruling that Vodafone was not liable to pay tax demand of 3,200 crore rupees in a transfer pricing case. All set for Coal India sale on Friday. Government targets 24,000 crores through divestment of 10% stake in the blue chip company. PDP-BJP strike seat-sharing agreement for Rajya Sabha polls indicate that parties are inching closer to forming government in Jammu and Kashmir. A day after Obama's departure, Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif calls India an important neighbor, but a key advisor calls Indo-US nuclear deal a threat to regional stability. And in the Australian Open, defending champions Stan Wawrinka and top seeds Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams through to the semi-finals. Our top story tonight, the Cabinet today approved a base price of 3,705 crore rupees per megahertz for 3G spectrum auction. Earlier, the Interministerial Panel Telecom Commission had suggested the same base price for the upcoming auction scheduled for the 4th of March. The move would help the government garner over 1 lakh crore rupees along with the sale of other mobile frequencies, making it the biggest ever spectrum sale. It's the 5th such sale of airwaves needed by telecom firms to offer wireless data and mobile services in the country. Last week, the Cabinet had approved swapping of 15 megahertz of 3G spectrum between Defence and the Telecom Ministry.
हमने इस बार जो रिजर्व प्राइस तय किया है वो हमने तय किया है पर मेगाहर्ट्ज 3,705 करोड़ 3 मेगाहर्ट्ज टू 40 गीगाहर्ट्ज के बीच में वी हैड आइडेंटिफाइड 49 फ्रीक्वेंसी बैंड्स आउट ऑफ दीज 9 बैंड्स हैव बीन आइडेंटिफाइड फॉर एक्सक्लूसिव डिफेंस यूज 31 bands have been identified where defense use will coexist with space, with civil aviation, information broadcasting, telecom and meteorological department.
The central government is all set to sell a stake of up to 10% in a state-owned miner, Coal India Limited, on Friday. The sale of over 63 crore shares in the blue chip company is expected to mop up around 24,000 crores at the current market price. The floor price for the stake sale will be announced on Thursday after the close of market hours. A stock exchange circular disclosed that the government will sell 5% stake or over 31 crore shares with an option to sell an additional 5% stake. Now, Coal India is the second company to hit markets under the government's divestment program. In December, it had sold 5% stake in sale to garner over 1,700 crores. The government is targeting 43,425 crores through disinvestment in public sector undertakings in the current fiscal. Some politics now, and the air over the government formation in Jammu and Kashmir became a little more clearer with the PDP and the BJP announcing that they will be contesting 2 seats each of the 4 Rajya Sabha vacancies going to the polls on the 7th of February. Both parties have decided not to field candidates against each other.
The two biggest parties of Jammu and Kashmir, the PDP and the BJP, are inching towards forming the government in the state. Indicating this is the seat-sharing agreement that both have agreed for the Rajya Sabha elections on 7th of February.
कुछ अनौपचारिक स्तर पर पीडीपी के साथ बातचीत चल रही है। सकारात्मक प्रगति बातचीत में है और हमें लगता है कि 2-3 मुद्दों पर और स्पष्टता आने की आवश्यकता है।
The PDP named Nazir Ahmed Lave and Fayaz Ahmed for 2 of the 4 seats, while the BJP is nominating Shamsher Singh Manhas and Chander Mohan Sharma.
एक स्ट्रक्चर डायलॉग की ज़रूरत है, थोड़ी देर में मेरे ख्याल में वो भी शुरू हो जाएगा ताकि एक कॉमन मिनिमम प्रोग्राम को बना के अगली हुकूमत जो है वो उसकी बुनियाद पे काम कर सके।
National Conference leader Omar Abdullah hit out at the BJP-PDP alliance for the Rajya Sabha polls. He said both parties should announce it for the state too. The National Conference is backing Ghulam Nabi Azad as the joint candidate with the Congress for the Rajya Sabha elections.
Insofar as the policies and programs and principles are concerned, the Congress Party and National Conference have been together since much before the independence.
The 4 members whose terms expire on 15th of February are Congress leaders Ghulam Nabi Azad and Saifuddin Soz and National Conference leaders Ghulam Nabi Wani and Mohammad Shafi. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Raging controversies, feverish campaigning and vicious attacks and counter-attacks. That's what the elections in Delhi are turning out to be about. With just about 10 days to go for polling, it's reaching a crescendo, and here's a look at the day's political activity in Delhi.
As the fight for supremacy between AAP and BJP reaches a feverish pitch, leaders are leaving nothing to chance, alleging that opposition parties are plotting to run fake sting operations and false stories to malign his party's candidates. AAP leader Arvind Kejriwal said he would approach the Election Commission.
अभी भी हमें जानकारी मिली है कि विरोधी पार्टियां आम आदमी पार्टी के खिलाफ अगले कुछ दिनों में आम आदमी पार्टी के कैंडिडेट्स के खिलाफ इसी तरह से कुछ फर्जी आरोप लगाने वाली हैं। हम इलेक्शन कमीशन के पास भी जाएंगे कि जिस तरह से इन लोगों ने पिछली बार बदमाशी की थी, दोबारा बदमाशी करने की ये लोग कोशिश करेंगे, तो ईसी इसके ऊपर नजर रखे और अगर किसी भी पार्टी के किसी भी कैंडिडेट के खिलाफ इस तरह का मामला होता है तो ईसी की परमिशन के बिना वो दिखाया ना जाए।
Even though Kejriwal did not name the said leader, BJP reacted sharply to the comment.
This is classically a case of what you call in Hindi, चोर की दाढ़ी में तिनका. Now, how does Mr. Kejriwal know? How can he preempt that there are going to be sting operations against their candidate? That means their candidates must be doing something wrong somewhere and that they have been caught. Who taught Delhi the sting game?
Meanwhile, in a bid to extend its gains in the national capital, the BJP has asked Finance Minister Arun Jaitley to monitor the campaign for Delhi. In fact, the party has given the responsibility of different areas of Delhi to several central ministers. The division has been done keeping in mind the demography of the area.
जो कार्यकर्ता की जहां पर ज्यादा उपयोगिता है, उस कार्यकर्ता को उस बात का ध्यान रख करके और उसकी योजना हुई है।
Trying to make a comeback, the Congress party has come up with a draft bill promising housing and property rights to slum dwellers in the national capital. The party has promised to pass the bill within 1 year of coming to power in Delhi.
जितने भी परिवार हैं, हर परिवार को एक ड्वेलिंग यूनिट 25 स्क्वायर मीटर से लेके 40 स्क्वायर मीटर तक के उसको मिले, उसकी गारंटी सुनिश्चित करेगा।
Delhi's date with destiny is on February 7th. The result will be out 3 days later on the 10th. Whether these promises hold up and whether they affect the fortunes of the parties will be clear then. With inputs from Shyam Sundar and Vishal Daya, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed NCC parade today, which is part of Republic Day celebrations in New Delhi. Speaking at the rally, Modi expressed his happiness over the number of girl cadets. He said more girls should be encouraged to join the NCC. Terming the National Cadet Corps as a mini India, the Prime Minister reminded the cadets of the strength of unity amid diversity.
हमारा देश कितनी विविधताओं से भरा हुआ है और विविधता में एकता, यही हमारे देश का सौंदर्य है, यही हमारे देश की ताकत है, यही हमारे देश की समृद्धि है और वही हमें सदा सर्वदा एक नई प्रेरणा भी देती है।
Now, divergent reactions seem to emanate from Pakistan on US President Obama's visit to India. While Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif said Pakistan would like to be treated on the basis of mutual respect, a close aide came out strongly against Obama's overtures to India. Here's more.
Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has called India an important neighbor. even as Sartaj Aziz, his advisor on national security and foreign affairs, condemned the Indo-US nuclear deal. Sharif told Pakistan's High Commissioner to India, Abdul Basit, that Pakistan will like to have normal relations with the country on the basis of mutual respect and sovereign equality. This was in stark contrast to statements made by Aziz, who not only criticized Indo-US attempts to operationalize the Indo-US nuclear deal, but also Obama's support for a permanent seat for India at the United Nations Security Council. A clearly peeved Sartaj Aziz said, and I quote, "Operationalization of Indo-US nuclear deal for political and economic expediencies would have a detrimental impact on deterrent stability in South Asia," unquote. On exemption for India from NSG rules, he said, this would further compound the already fragile strategic stability environment in South Asia, would further undermine the credibility of NSG and weaken the non-proliferation regime. Aziz also hit out at Obama's support for India's permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. Proposals to add new centers of privilege in the Security Council run counter to these collective objectives of Security Council reform. Aziz said Pakistan rejects any insinuation or aspersion over its commitment to fight terrorism, calling Pakistan terrorism's biggest victim. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And we're joined by Ambassador Bhaskar Balakrishnan to help us understand. Ambassador, after President Obama's visit, it seems Pakistan speaking in two voices, but the Prime Minister certainly is saying that, what he seems to suggest is better relations with India. Ambassador Balakrishnan, can you hear me? Right. While we try to re-establish that link with Ambassador Balakrishnan, let's quickly remind you of the story that we're tracking. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has suggested that he wants good relations with India and would like to be treated on the basis of mutual respect. But there are other voices coming in from Pakistan. We seem to have Ambassador Balakrishnan back with us. Thank you very much for speaking to us, sir. But Pakistan, after US President Obama's visit, seems to be speaking in different voices. But the Pakistani Prime Minister certainly is saying that he wants a relationship with India that is one of mutual respect.
Yes, very good evening to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's put the whole thing into context. What Nawaz Sharif has sent is a message to India on the occasion of the Republic Day. This is a fairly routine type of message which is exchanged between governments on the occasion of a national day. And these messages are generally very general and bland kind of statements of generally expressing the intention of having good relations. At the same time, the Pakistani High Commissioner in Delhi, Abdul Basit, has gone to Islamabad and he has briefed Nawaz Sharif about the situation and particularly about the results of the Obama visit. And Nawaz Sharif's, the press, media in Pakistan has been given a press release saying that Nawaz Sharif wants to improve relations with India on the basis of whatever respect.
Right.
Now, however, this is only one aspect of it. On the other hand, the National Security Advisor Sartaj Aziz has come out very negatively about Obama's statement that India should be made a permanent member of the Security Council, and also that India should be included in the NSG and the three other technology control groups. So he has reacted quite negatively and quite clearly saying that this he is against this. And at the same time, General Sharif, who was on a visit to China at the time of Obama's visit, seems to have also briefed the Chinese, and the Chinese have also issued a negative comment about India's membership of the NSG, which is quite, at variance with what Nawaz Sharif has now expressed in his Republic Day message. So the whole thing is not very consistent with what is coming out of Pakistan.
All right, but at the same point of time, we've had a negative reaction. You also mentioned that about China as well. So, but going forward from here, how do you see diplomacy being played out, especially in the South Asian region?
Well, India has always been willing to talk with Pakistan, and but of course there are certain limitations to what these talks can achieve. If Pakistan does not dismantle the terror industry which has created there, and also continues to indulge in shelling across the line of control, obviously the shelling is a cover to infiltrate people into India. And then of course there is the issue of the Hafiz Saeed and his involvement in the Bombay blast, which involved not only Indians who were killed but also Americans were killed. So, unless Pakistan can make progress on these issues, while we can have talks, it is difficult to, imagine that the talks will make a very good progress. Now, even on the issue of, with the SAARC summit had 2 or 3 agreements were signed, and one of them relates to vehicle movement across the SAARC region. Now, that treaty is supposed to provide for motor vehicles to move freely. Now, Pakistan obviously does not have some reservations about allowing Indian motor traffic going to Afghanistan through its territory. So they have held up this agreement. Similarly, on the railway agreement, they again have the last minute blocked the agreement in Kathmandu. So, I think Pakistan needs to get its overall approach in order as far as India is concerned.
All right, Ambassador Balakrishnan, thank you very much for coming in and explaining us the nuances of the Indo-Pak relationship now in the context of the American president's visit. Thank you very much for that. All right, we'll take a very quick break right now, but lots more coming up on the other side, so do stay tuned.
राज्यसभा टीवी की कोशिश, बात इंसानियत की,
जो आज भी वेश्यावृत्ति के चंगुल से नहीं निकल पा रहे हैं।
घंटों की मेहनत और मुआवजे के नाम पर चंद रुपए। कहानी जंगल के रखवालों की।
सोलेगा वैसे तो कई देवी देवताओं को पूजते हैं, लेकिन इनके मुख्य कुल देवता महादेश्वर हैं।
सफर लहरों की सौदागरों के साथ।
अब मछली पकड़ना घाटे का सौदा बनता जा रहा है।
देखिए स्पेशल रिपोर्ट सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
Welcome back, you're watching the news tonight. Now, the army today paid a tribute to Colonel Munindranath Rai, who was killed in an encounter in Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday. He was among the 4 killed in the gun battle with militants in the Tral region. The army recalled his effort to tackle militancy in the region, for which he won the Youth Seva Medal on Republic Day this week.
The army honoured Colonel Munindranath Rai, who died fighting terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday, a day after he was awarded a gallantry medal. He is the highest ranking military officer to be killed in the region in nearly a year. The army honoured him with a wreath-laying ceremony in Srinagar. Army recalled his heroics on the field.
The commanding officer was in charge right in front when he was approached by the father of one of the slain terrorists that his son would like to surrender. He asked him to go ahead and get him to surrender. At the same time, the slain terrorist's brother also approached. Under these circumstances, both the terrorists rushed out to the house that they were in and fired rampantly.
The terrorists were shot down. The colonel died in hospital succumbing to injuries. He was the youngest of 13 officers awarded the Youth Seva Medal on Monday for killing a terrorist in a close battle last year. The Youth Seva Medal is awarded for the highest degree of distinguished service in a war or conflict.
I must say it was a very, very brave act, and it also indicates that our army officers lead men from the front.
J&K Police Head Constable Sanjeevan Singh was also killed in the fierce encounter. Police identified the militants killed in the encounter as Hizb District Commander Abid Ahmed Khan and his associate Shiraz Dar. Meanwhile, UP government has announced 30 lakh rupees as compensation to the family of the martyred colonel. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the Allahabad High Court today commuted the death sentence of a notorious serial killer Surinder Kohli to life imprisonment. A division bench cited the reason of inordinate delay in passing its judgment. The verdict was given on a public interest litigation filed by the People's Union for Democratic Rights that said 3 years and 3 months had elapsed in the disposal of Kohli's mercy petition. As a consequence, the execution of the death sentence was in violation of the right to life granted in Article 21 of the Constitution. Surinder Kohli was the prime accused in the Nithari serial killings case. Kohli and his employer Pander were arrested after the remains of missing local girls were recovered from a drain outside his house in Noida. Kohli had allegedly killed several girls, chopping their bodies to pieces before throwing them in the drain. Now, the Supreme Court today ordered Yahoo, Google and Microsoft's Bing to stop displaying ads for sex determination tests. The top court said it will give further and detailed instructions at the next hearing on the 11th of February. Today's order was based on a public interest litigation that said despite being illegal, major search engines are displaying the ads. The court wanted such advertisements to be immediately withdrawn from the search engines. Last week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched a campaign to address the problem. The United Nations said the issue of sex determination amounts to a national emergency. And now look at all the other national news and updates in Nationwide. Delhi Police's special investigation team today questioned former Samajwadi Party leader Amar Singh in connection with the murder case of Sunanda Pushkar. Amar Singh had claimed that Sunanda had accepted the blame for the IPL wrongdoings. Reportedly, the investigators are examining whether the IPL controversy had anything to do with Sunanda's death. The NIA today arrested 4 men accused in connection with its probe in the Burdwan blast case. The 4 allegedly played a crucial role in carrying out the blast. The NIA had earlier arrested Shah Noor Alam, key suspect in the case and alleged financial brain of the terror group Jamaat ul-Mujahideen Bangladesh. 2 suspected terrorists were killed in the blast in Burdwan last year. The Delhi High Court today issued notice to the centre on the plea filed by Greenpeace activist Priya Pillai challenging her offloading in Delhi this month. The court issued notice to the Home Ministry, Bureau of Immigration and the IB. The court asked them to file their responses by the 6th of February. The court has termed the Offloading Act as illegal and a violation of our basic rights to personal liberty and freedom of speech. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today paid tribute to noted freedom fighter Lala Lajpat Rai on his 149th birth anniversary. The Prime Minister remembered him as a unique personality ahead of his time. The Punjabi author was popularly known as Punjab Kesari and Sher-e-Punjab. Swine flu continues to claim lives across the nation. 1 person died of swine flu in Telangana today, taking the toll this month to 17. At least 10 medical staff were among those who got infected today. So far, at least 75 people have lost their lives in just over 6 weeks. Experts say that the low temperatures across the country is the real reason behind the outbreak. Well, some international news now, and a strong winter storm swept across Northeast America, closing businesses and affecting normal life. The storm piled deep snow in Connecticut and Massachusetts, but New York City was largely spared. However, the U.S. National Weather Service has admitted its forecasts were wrong after predicting a potentially historic blizzard would strike.
A powerful blizzard struck Boston and surrounding New England, leaving some 4.5 million people grappling with as much as 3 feet of snow and coastal flooding. However, the storm spared New York City residents who had braced for a significant blast. Snow was forecast to keep falling on Wednesday in eastern New England, possibly setting a record snowfall in Boston. Storm-driven coastal flooding added to the state's woes as low-lying towns south of Boston grappled with rising water. However, travel bans were lifted at many Northeast American counties as the storm Juno did not follow its predicted path.
That effective immediately, we're lifting the travel ban in Berkshire, Hampden, Hampshire, and Franklin counties. The travel ban, however, will continue to apply to I-90, Mass Turnpike.
The U.S. National Weather Service admitted its forecasts were wrong, but New York City mayor claimed that they had dodged the bullet.
God forbid this storm had not moved, what was ultimately 20, 30 miles to the east in our case, we would have then been hit by that incredible magnitude of storm, and had people not been off the roads, there would have been a lot of people in danger, and probably some people would have lost their lives. We can't take that risk.
The US Met Department is still warning of potentially life-threatening conditions along the New England coast as the storm heads north into Canada. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time now for some international news in Global Buzz. Japan vowed to continue its fight for the release of Islamic State captive Kenji Goto. A video appeared of Goto on Tuesday in which he gave the warning that he could be killed in the next 24 hours. Japan also sought Jordan's help for securing the release of the hostage. The World Bank's president has warned that the world is dangerously unprepared for future deadly pandemics like the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. He proposed emerging nations, developed countries and global aid organizations could participate in a kind of an insurance system to help pay for health crises like the Ebola outbreak. He said he expected a proposal for this to be presented to the leaders of developed and developing countries in the coming months. The United States, Japan and South Korea agreed to maintain sanctions against North Korea while opening doors for bilateral talks. The three nations held talks in Tokyo on Wednesday to resume international negotiations on denuclearization. North Korea has been hit with more sanctions recently. US President Barack Obama issued an executive order on the 2nd of January to impede Pyongyang's access to the US financial system after a cyber attack on Sony Pictures Entertainment. Some sports now, and defending champion Stan Wawrinka and top seeds Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams marched into the last four of the Australian Open with straight set victories in their quarter-finals match. Here's all the updates from the Australian Open in its final leg.
Stan Wawrinka moved closer to defending his Australian Open title with an avenging straight sets victory over Japan's Kei Nishikori. The Swiss had lost to Nishikori in an epic five-setter at the US Open last year. But this time Wawrinka put on a dominant display. The world number 4 took the first two sets without much resistance. The defending champion squandered 5 match points before winning the match 6-3, 6-4, 7-6.
Expecting a tough one for sure. I wasn't ready for a straight set. I was expecting a difficult match, especially against Kei. He's a tough player to play in Grand Slam. You never know what's going to happen. But I'm happy the way I was playing today. I had to show that I was ready to stay the aggressive player, to serve well and to be there.
Wawrinka will next play world number 1 Novak Djokovic in the semis. Djokovic defeated 8th seed Milos Raonic in straight sets in the quarterfinals. After winning the first set in the tie break, it was Djokovic all the way. He dominated the next two sets to win the match 7-6, 6-4, 6-2. Women's world number 1 Serena Williams continued her march towards her 6th Australian Open title and a potential final clash with world number 2 Maria Sharapova. The 18-time Grand Slam champion won 6-2, 6-2 against 11th seed Dominika Cibulkova. Serena Williams will next face American teenager Madison Keys, who ousted her elder sister Venus Williams in 3 sets. The 19-year-old won 6-3, 4-6, 6-4 to end the possibility of an all-Williams semi-final. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's the news tonight. Good night.
Thank you.